A begging mafia racket was busted by the Hyderabad Commissioner's Task Force.
$60,000. Picture a vast invisible wave of children vanishing across India every single year. 60,000 futures erased. Many are swallowed by an unseen predatory world, their faces becoming just another haunting statistic. But what if I told you a significant number aren't merely lost, they're harvested, abducted, brutalized, and forced into a life of begging by an organized, ruthlessly efficient machine that literally profits from their pain, their disfigurement, their despair. You see them on the bustling city streets, a fleeting image of poverty that pricks your conscience. But the truth is a descent into a horror far more calculated, far more sinister than you can possibly imagine. This isn't just about poverty, it's about a sprawling criminal empire, a modern-day slavery ring, hiding in plain sight, thriving on our collective blind spot. Imagine a world where a child's limbs are desperately broken, their eyes chemically burned to make them more effective at pulling heartstrings and opening wallets. A world where infants are rented out like props, drugged into listlessness to elicit sympathy. This isn't a distant horror film from hundreds of years ago. These are tactics reportedly employed by the very criminal networks we're about to unmask. The scale is staggering, the cruelty almost beyond belief, and it's happening right under our noses. When you encounter a person begging, the immediate thought is often of simple poverty, of individual misfortune. It's a common sight in many Indian cities, so pervasive it almost blends into the urban fabric. We might feel a pang of guilt, offer some loose change or look away, perhaps desensitized. But this very public nature of begging provides the perfect camouflage for a far darker reality. While many are indeed victims of circumstance, this assumption of simple poverty allows a monstrous enterprise to flourish. An enterprise where, as we've just hinted, the suffering you witness might not be accidental, but a carefully manufactured product designed for profit. This isn't always random suffering. It's often a calculated business model. Indeed, lurking just beneath this veneer of individual despair, a hidden, highly organized industry thrives, the very industry responsible for such calculated cruelty. This is the work of a criminal enterprise known as the beggar mafia. How is this empire of exploitation structured, from street-level enforcers to elusive kingpins? What are the cold, hard mechanics that turn human misery into a multi-million rupee machine? The evidence is damning, and the full extent of their shadowy world is about to be exposed. The beggar mafia. This isn't a sensationalist label, it's the chilling reality for tens of thousands. These are highly organized criminal syndicates, structured with the cold efficiency of any illicit business, complete with kingpins, operatives, and brutal hierarchy. Police investigations have unmasked some of these operators. V. Sura Prakash in Hyderabad, an ex-photographer, was caught managing a beggar ring, including minor boys recruited from slums. He provided them with steel begging boxes, some fitted with QR codes linked directly to his bank account. These children, sometimes plied with toddy to appear unwell, would earn 1,000 to 2,000 rupees daily. Prakash's cut? He'd pay them a mere 200, amassing around 2 lakh or 200,000 rupees a month. Another operative, Anil Pawar, employed 23 beggars, including children and the disabled, targeting posh localities. Some gangs even operate under the guise of fictitious charities, like the Amateur Youth Foundation, deceiving the public. These aren't isolated incidents. Reports all across India describe a dangerous body, a clear form of human trafficking. They control territories, manage their workforce through fear, and rake in profits. A study in Patna, Bihar, revealed some beggars started working for the very gangs they are enslaved to, monitoring others, collecting money, and controlling territories for a slightly larger share of the grim proceeds. This points to a complex, multi-layered organization with deep historical roots, with accounts even rivaling those of the Japanese Yakuza. The sheer organization is staggering, but it begs a horrifying question. Where do these workers, these human cogs in their profit machine, actually come from? The answer involves methods of recruitment so brutal, so devoid of humanity, that they will test the limits of your comprehension. Of the 60,000 children vanishing in India each year, many are kidnapped, snatched from their families, their worlds shattered. Consider Suresh Manji from Kanpur. Seeking employment, an acquaintance named Vijay lured him for a potential opportunity. What followed was a descent into unimaginable torment. He was thrashed relentlessly, his bones systematically shattered as his hand and feet were deliberately broken. He was shot at, and in an act of calculated, cold-blooded cruelty, caustic chemicals were poured directly into his eyes, burning away his sight, leaving him permanently blind and crippled. This agonizing mutilation wasn't random violence. It was a business decision designed to transform him into a more effective, more pitiable, and therefore more profitable beggar. After this mutilation, Vijay sold Suresh Manji to Raj, a gang leader in Delhi, for 70,000 rupees. In Delhi, Manji endured further torture. With his health failing, he was callously sent back to Vijay, who continues the exploitation. His eventual escape, aided by a passerby, brought his ordeal to light. This isn't an isolated horror, it's a pattern across thousands, regardless of age. Children are routinely drugged. Some reports indicate corrupt doctors were paid to amputate healthy limbs. Forced addiction is another tool, creating dependency. Mafias target the vulnerable, the impoverished, disabled, uneducated. They even rent infants, who are then drugged for daily fees. The physical scars are just one layer. The psychological trauma from abduction, abuse, the stripping of dignity is a deep, festering wound we'll explore further. For now, understand, this is a system designed to break the human spirit. This breathtaking level of calculated cruelty, this meticulous system of control, is all orchestrated for one singular purpose: profit. But just how vast is this shadowy economy? The figures are staggering, and the financial machinery behind it is as sophisticated as it is ruthless. This is a big business. Kingpins in Hyderabad, like Anil Pawar, collected 4,500 to 6,000 rupees daily from their controlled beggars, who received a pittance of around 200. To put that into perspective, the average middle-class working male receives 450 to 800 rupees per day. V. Shurak Prakash, the ex-photographer we mentioned earlier, who used children with QR code begging boxes, reportedly netted 2 lakh a month for his operations before being caught. In Lucknow alone, official estimates suggest residents donate over 63 lakh or 6.3 million rupees every single day to beggars. A significant portion likely ended up with organized gangs. A study around Patna railway station found beggars forced to surrender 60 to 70% of earnings to gangs. With an approximate industry valuation of 1.5 lakh crores, roughly 20 billion US dollars, we can see how large of an operation this really is. This undoubtedly fuels the kingpins' greed and tightens their control. Such cash volumes imply financial management beyond simple collection, possibly involving investment in local cash-intensive businesses or other laundering methods. These mafias concentrate in urban centers: Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kolkata, and states like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Bihar. They strategically position beggars in high-traffic areas like temples, mosques, train stations, and supermarkets to maximize illicit earnings. Operating so openly, raking in so much cash, how do they get away with it? The answer involves a terrifying loophole, a secret that points to a rot within the very systems designed to protect the vulnerable: corruption and complicity. Why, despite being out in the open with strict laws and police, do these mafias thrive? One dark secret is alleged corruption and complicity within law enforcement. The most disturbing part? Beggars stated local police were associated with gang leaders, allegedly receiving a share of collections. This makes seeking help futile, even dangerous. An editorial in the Deccan Herald stated the begging mafia often has strong links with police, who provide protection for a cut. General police corruption in India is a documented issue, and specific reports indicate it impedes investigation of child labor and trafficking, the mafia's core crimes. The National Human Rights Commission notes these organized groups. Their ability to operate openly suggests official inaction, willful blindness, or active collusion. Mafias also exploit the transient nature of begging populations and use brutal intimidation to ensure silence. Consider the victim's perspective. If they try to escape, where do they go? Often they have no money, no family to turn to, and their health is so poor from abuse and neglect. If they bravely report the gang to the authorities, there's a terrifying risk. Reports from Patna explicitly claim that local police are associated with beggar gangs and receive a share of illicit collections. If true, this corruption is the Achilles heel of any anti-mafia effort, rendering laws and rescue operations nearly meaningless. Reporting the crime could mean being handed right back to their abusers and tortured even worse as punishment. This isn't an excuse for the mafia's horrific actions, but it paints a grim picture of why escape is nearly impossible. It's a calculated trap built on deliberate cruelty, systemic problems, a society that often looks the other way, and the complete and utter helplessness of those caught within it. But it's absolutely crucial to remember, not everyone begging is a captive. Millions are driven to the streets by sheer desperation. What are their individual stories, and what is their daily battle for survival really like? Really like away from the mafia's shadow? The contrast is stark, and the other side of this coin reveals a different kind of tragedy. Beyond the mafia's iron grip, a vast spectrum of human despair exists. Over 60% of beggars cite poverty and unemployment. They are the poorest of the poor. Illness, physical or mental disabilities, old age with no family support. These realities push people onto the streets. Family breakdown, displacement by disasters, or even a traditional family profession also play a role. The notion of choice is complex. Cases like Bharat Jain, the world's richest beggar, are extreme outliers and risk distorting the reality for the majority who beg from necessity. Most studies show individual beggars earn less than 200 rupees a day. In cities like Mumbai or Bangalore, that's barely enough for food. Even when exploited beggars earn more, almost all is siphoned off by handlers. The sympathy economy is influenced by location and perceived vulnerability, a fact brutally exploited by mafias. So, we have organized crime profiting from cruelty and millions in desperate poverty, a crisis of epic proportions. What then is being done? Are current systems, law enforcement, welfare schemes actually helping, or are they in some ways part of the problem? The official response is a story of contradictions and often profound shortcomings. India's approach to begging has been a patchwork of contradictions. The Bombay Prevention of Begging Act 1959, a colonial relic, criminalizes begging itself, often punishing poverty. The Delhi High Court in 2018 declared parts unconstitutional, asserting it's unjust to punish individuals for their own means of survival without the state providing solutions. The Supreme Court in 2021 emphasized begging as a socio-economic issue, yet enforcement often remains punitive, prioritizing urban aesthetics over welfare. Government schemes like SMILE aim for comprehensive rehabilitation, but face immense challenges in implementation and scale, with relatively low numbers reportedly rehabilitated compared to those identified. And casting a dark shadow is the alleged corruption and complicity within law enforcement, potentially undermining all other efforts. Amidst this, NGOs like Achayam Trust, Kailash Satyarthi Children's Foundation, and Prarana Anti-Trafficking are crucial agents of change, rescuing victims, providing care, and advocating for reform. Their successes offer tangible proof that transformation is possible, though they face formidable challenges like resource constraints and the sheer scale of the problem. The scale of this crisis is immense, fueled by a complex web of organized crime, systemic failures, and crushing poverty that affects millions across India. The victims ensnared by violence or driven by sheer desperation are often invisible, their suffering unheeded, but they need help. If you encounter someone you suspect is a victim or anyone in dire need, consider offering direct aid like a meal or assistance in accessing healthcare. More critically, report suspected trafficking or organized begging operations to the authorities or to one of the many dedicated NGOs working to combat this scourge. These networks thrive in the shadows of indifference. The only way to truly break these invisible chains is if individuals, communities, and authorities stand together, refuse to look away, and demand accountability and change. Exposing the truth behind powerful industries is what we do here at Generation Y. If you believe in pulling back the curtain on the systems that shape our world, from what's in your pet's bowl to the algorithms controlling your feed, then join us. Hit subscribe and ring that notification bell, because the next hidden reality is waiting to be uncovered. Cheers.